This is a video for Section 503 of the Ohio DOT Open Roads Training. And in this video, we're going to make some templates for State Route 185 and for Jameson Road. So I'm going to get started by opening one of my design files, and it really doesn't matter which one, because we're just going to use the Create Templates dialog to create our templates. We're not actually going to be drawing anything in the design file itself. So with the file open, I'm in the Open Roads Modeling Workflow on the Corridors tab, and I'm going to pick the Create Template icon. So again, it's opening the template library from the 990 Workset Standards folder, and I can see I had previously made a folder and template for St. Peter Road. So I'm going to right-click on Project Templates, and I'm going to create a new folder for State Route 185. And I'm going to put all the templates for State Route 185 in that folder. So I'll right-click on that folder and create a new template, and I'll name this template SR185. And I'm going to get started by dragging in my backbone for this template. So before I do that, I'm going to look at my dynamic settings, and I'm going to turn off Apply Affixes. The reason is that the backbones already have prefixes defined for the left and right points. So under the ODOT category, Backbones Undivided Roads, we're using the 301-8E standard and 2-lane. And we're going to use which one are we using here? We're using the Asphalt Concrete Without Subgrade Stabilization template. So I'm just going to grab that template and drag it in and drop it right at the 0 point. And then I'll do a fit. Now I want to add some end conditions to this. So I'm going to go to, again, in the ODOT category under End Conditions, and we're going to use the Common Barrier Grading. I'm going to use the 3-to-1 cut fill table and drag this in. Now, I'm going to do something a little different in this video since these points are symmetrical. The outside shoulder points are at the same offset, same slopes, so they're at the same elevation. I can drag this in and apply it to both sides at once instead of doing the two separate. Now I do want to apply fixes because this is only defined for one side. And as I drag that in, while I'm still holding down the left mouse button, I'm going to click the right button. I'm going to choose the mirror option. You can also do Control M to do that. So you can see it's mirroring my end condition. And I'm going to just drop that on the right outside shoulder point. And it's also going to hook into the point on the other side. Double tap my wheel to do a fit. And I can see both end conditions are applied. I'm going to turn off my point names just to clean up the display a little bit so I can see my template a little better. Now in the ODOT example, we're removing a couple of these things just to show you some different options. So I've got a 6-to-1 slope here. If I don't want to ever use 6-to-1, I can just right-click on that and delete it. And if you do that, you'll also want to notice that there's two different graded shoulder widths here. There's the narrower one and then the wider one with the steeper slopes. So I want to also take out this graded shoulder piece. So I'm going to right click on that, delete that component. And since there's two of them there, as I float my cursor over the names, it'll highlight. I'm going to take that one out, the graded shoulder one. I think we also have you take out the 3-to-1 option, or is that a 4-to-1 option? The 4-to-1 option. I think we also have you take that out in the training material. So I'm going to delete that component. I'm going to do the same thing on the right side. I'm going to do one thing just a little different. I'm going to take the graded shoulder out first. And we're taking out the shorter one, the graded shoulder one. And since that 6-to-1 was attached to it, it took that out with it. Go ahead and take out the 2-to-1 component over here as well. Now there's some points up at the top that are some special points that are going to seek out different graphics, and if it finds them, that point will move to find it. So there's ones looking for intersection and a driveway to the left and the right. So to test the behavior of these, if I right click on one of the points, the intersection left, I'm going to test the horizontal point control for that point. So as that point moves to the left, if it found an intersection match line, you see the whole shoulder is going to be removed from the template. So it's just using a display rule to hide those components. Okay, the driveway one does something just a little different. If I test the point control on that, it's set just to take out those pavement steps. So what I want to happen here is if these come out, I want my end conditions to be removed as well. So what I need to do is hook this up so these will be removed when that's removed. So there's a couple different ways I could do that. One of the ways I can do that, if I double click on this particular end condition component, I can assign a parent component to that. And I'm going to use the little search button here to go out and pick my top of my shoulder as the parent component, left asphalt concrete surface course for the shoulder, and I'll apply that. So what that means is if this parent is displayed, this component is displayed. If the parent's not displayed, this is not. So if I had this configured to find an intersection match line, and it found it, now you see that that end condition is going to disappear as well. Now let's look at the drive left. Test a point control for that. Okay, so if there's a driveway there, I really need to get rid of those end conditions as well. So there's a second way I could have done this rather than just assigning a parent. What I could do is assign the same display rule to this component that's assigned to the top of the shoulder itself and the steps as well. So I'm going to go ahead and assign that to this component. If I do that, I really don't need this parent component here, but that's not going to hurt anything. So in the display rules, I'll pick Edit, and I've got 4 different display rules that are defined in this template, looking for a drive left and an intersection left. So when I select one of those display rules, I can add it to the list up here just by clicking on Selected Rule. So what I want this to do is I want it to take a look at the drive left and the intersection left. And if either one of those is been defined, then I want this to react to that. So let's actually take a look at the way the display rule itself is configured before we finish off the conditional expression up here. So to do that, I'm going to select the either the drive left or intersection left. They're both basically defined the same way, and edit that just to review how it's configured. So the intersection left is set to look at the horizontal distance between that point and the PGO point. And if it's less than minus 0.1, then that would be true. If it's not less than minus 0.1, it would be false. So with that in mind, I really need to say, hey, when it's not true, the element's going to be displayed. When it is true, the element's going to be hidden. So when I'll configure my expression here to say when it's not drive left or intersection left, when that's not true, so right now it's not true is true, so those are displayed. And then when it is true, they're going to be hidden. So I'll just go ahead and apply that and close it, and I can test that on this drive left point by testing its horizontal point control. Oops. Let's make sure I get the horizontal option here. And as it moves away, so when that's true, they're hidden. When it's not true, they're displayed. So let's go ahead and hook that up to the other side. So I'm not going to use the parent-child relationship here. I'm just going to do the display rules themselves. So I'll edit the display rule, and these are all configured the same way, and I can look at that drive right, so it's looking at that drive right point and the PGL point. So when it's greater than 0.1, it would be true. If it's not, it would be false. So when it's not true, they're displayed, and when it is true, they're hidden, is the way I've got this configured. So we'll say not drive right or intersection right. And that's currently true, so they're not true. And I'll apply that. And I can test both of those then by testing the horizontal point control for the intersection to the right. The shoulders and end conditions disappear. If I find a drive to the right, the steps and the end conditions disappear. Of course, depending on the drive buildup, you may end up not keeping the steps too. If you're coming up against a commercial drive with a, quite a substantial buildup, maybe that's going to be kept instead of the steps. So you can configure this as necessary to, remove whichever you need. The points themselves are configured to find match lines. So if I look at this intersection right, it has a horizontal feature constraint defined. And the feature it's looking for is a modeling proposed intersection match line. And it's looking 100 feet to the right. So if it finds that within 100 feet, this point will move out to intersect that, and then the display rule would be in effect. So similar on the other side, it's looking for the intersection match line, 100 feet to the left, drive match line to the left. And those are just lines that you draw in the plan view and then add as corridor references. And we'll cover all that when we get into the corridor modeling and intersection modeling videos. So the last thing I want to do is create my template for Jameson Road. So it's the same thing, it's just 10-foot pavement. So under Project Templates, I'll make a new folder for Jameson Road. And I'm going to copy my State Route 185 template, paste that into the Jameson folder, double click to make it active. I'll rename that. And all I'm going to do is change the pavement width. So this will be a minus 10 foot on the left. Apply that. And on the right, I'll make that a 10-foot width. And that's all we need to do for Jameson Road. So these don't have to be in separate folders. You can put them just right under Project Templates, or you can split them up. If you're going to have multiple templates for each alignment, it might make sense to put them into folders. So I'm going to go ahead and save my template library, close this out, and I can exit my design file. And of course, ProjectWise is going to ask me to check in the design file and the template library itself, so I'll check both those in. And that concludes the video for the State Route 185 and Jameson Road templates.